Hello everyone and welcome to today's tutorial. So today I'm going to be showing you how I make these number boxes using the shape 30. We usually use boxes like this for cupcakes and also for money templates. That's those boxes where they will make a heart you and then they will roll money inside. Right, the dimension of this box is 12 by 16 by 3.5. um, right, let's get into the making process. Sit back as I show you one after the other. So I'm starting with this uh, platform, what is going to form the platform for the money template or the cupcake space, and I am dividing this straw board into a width of 12 inches. Remember that the length and breadth of the box is 12 by 16. I am making use of a straw board that I have already coated with white art card at the back on the other side, so that I won't have to be quoting the number after cutting it out. You can actually use that process too, though I feel it will be a bit it will take more time because of time constraints. That's why I decided to coat the straw board first before cutting it out. So when you have made this cut of 12 inches, I cut 12 inches and not 16 because I believe that's the most effective way I can save more straw board. So from here I will now measure 16 inches so that I can be able to cut the template into 12 by 16 to form base. But first I will be drawing the shape. You can use a freehand sketch like I'm doing here, and you can also print out the number. You can just do it on your system or your phone. Use Canva, Photoshop, any editing app, Pixel app, anything, just to print out the number 30. You can print it on an A3 paper because A3 paper is 12 by 16.5, so that already fits into this measurement that we're using. So but I am using a freehand sketch here because it was an urgent order and I needed to deliver it that morning. All of this was done within the space of 1 hour thereabout. So I have to use my hand, and I'm an architect, so I am a bit more versatile with the freehand sketch. All I just need is the shape and the outline of the number 3, but making sure that the thickness, it's a 2D letter now. The space between the outlines should be at least 3 inches, something that can contain a cupcake conveniently. Cupcake size should be around 3 inches, 2.5 thereabout. So you can see from what I showed you now that the space between the outlines are a bit wide. Then I am also drawing the number 0. First you draw the outer part, then you also create the inner part to cut it out. Well, and since we're using this outline for a cupcake, our space between the numbers, like I said, is 2.5, 3.0, because we're inserting a cupcake. But if we're going to be doing it for a money template, the space between the numbers should not be more than 1 inch, except if you want to roll, you want it to contain more roll of money like we do here in Nigeria. You see people who would create templates like this using different shapes. I heart you, dad, mom, would even form a name with the letters. Then you're going to roll pieces of naira notes in them, and then the represent it somewhat like a money bouquet. Alright, so you can see from the video now that I am cutting out the shape that I have outlined using a freehand sketch. Of course, you must create a final line. Don't just create sketchy lines. You must, trace out the final line so that there will not be any errors while cutting. So, cutting process must be careful, making sure that you derive the exact shape that was drawn. Don't worry about the curves, just draw it, just cut it out the way you drew it. The curves are a minor thing in the process. It is also important to make careful single cuts using a sharp blade. Make sure that your blade is not blunt. The cutter knife we use can be broken off. The existing blade can be broken off to reveal a new one. Right, having made this cut, now we can now move on to redrawing that shape. What we did first was on art card. We first did the sketch on art card and then we cut it out. It's easier to cut on art card because we assume that you might make mistakes, you might do one of the things that are wrong, and then you can easily correct it before you now move it to the straw board and then trace it out and then make a final cut using straw. This just helps to prevent errors. You can cut directly on the straw board if you wish to. So I am tracing out each shape as it is on the hard card as a template. What I've just created using the hard card is a template. So if I need to make more of these, say I have more than one box to make, I don't have to be recutting. I just keep tracing around the template I already made. So I think it's still not useless to make that cut. Next, we are now going to cut off the remaining part of the straw board. What we want is 12 by 16, like I've already done here. Now we're now going to use the cutter knife. I'm using a bigger cutter knife this time around because of weight, so that I can be able to transfer enough weight to make a single cut, not make multiple cuts. It's essential to use a soft straw board so that you can be able to make precise cuts on the straw board. So you have to cut carefully. It's a tedious process, and you have to be meticulous in getting your results. Alright, here we have gotten the first number out, the number 3, and you can see how wide the outlines are from each other, just enough to contain cupcakes lined up along the space provided by that number if it were a base. Okay, we are also now cutting out the number 0. First, begin with the outermost part of the outline. Cut out the outermost part first before you cut out the inner one. This allows you to be able to have a neater cut along the borders. now we are going to cut the inner part of the shape. Alright, now we have gotten both numbers, the 3 and 0. We can now proceed to the next stage, where we are going to cut strips of FBB. I am using 400 gram FBB, so it's important that you select the thickness of FBB that you want. I'll be cutting multiple strips, but I will only show how I cut one of it in the video so that we can save watch time. So I'm cutting 3 inches, and then I'm cutting 3.5 inches. Then I will be taking out 0.5 for the infold to attach to the platform we have cut. If you don't understand what I said, just keep watching the video. You will see what I meant by infold. So I'm going to be offsetting a 0.5 inch. I'm using the hand creaser. You can use scissors for what I'm doing. Just close both ends of the scissors and use it to draw a faint line. Use it to draw a bold line across the outline. Then the next stage is going to be folding that 0.5 that you have scored or creased, and then you just apply pressure, make sure that it is flat. Apply pressure all through. You're going to cut more than one strip of this, and like I said, I'm only showing how I did one of it in the video so that we can save time. Right, so the next stage of this process will be to apply adhesive to the inner part of the 0.5 inches offset that we have folded earlier. So you're just going to place that tiny strip on the table or your work surface, and then you're going to apply adhesive to the inner part. The inner part, please ensure that it is the inner part. That is when you make the FBB stand upright, the inner part of that fold is where you are going to apply the adhesive, and let it be a gentle application. Careful, do not allow it stain the walls of the one that will stand upright. Alright, now having applied adhesive to those offsets, we also apply adhesive along the borders of the outlines we cut, but on the flip side of the template we cut for the numbers. Just like you can see in the video, I'm applying a thin layer of adhesive to the back part, and we are starting from the inner part of the template for the number, so that we can work inside out. If we are to work outside in, it will be difficult. So please take note of that. Don't do the outer part before the inner part, especially for curved letters like 0. So we're going to take one of those strips we have cut, and then we're going to apply it along the borders of that inner part of the number. But before we do that, we're going to use the scissors, and we're going to cut at angles. Just cut slantly along that part. As you can see in the video, just make slant cuts. Ensure to stop where the infold meets the vertical part of it, so you can see what I'm doing. right? We cut throughout. I didn't show that because it's going to take time, and I realized that we are working with time here in the tutorial. So you apply along that inner fold, and then when you have made the card to follow the path, you flip to the back and you make those cuts. You glue them together underneath, like you can see me doing, and then you keep following the path gently, slowly. Force it to follow the outline. Then you use your other hand to make it join together underneath. When you get to the overlap where you started, leave a little space forward. Then you can terminate the flip. You can terminate the strip using a scissors, like you see me doing. Then you apply adhesive to the overlapping joints and it will form a permanent bond. Ensure to use your hand, use scissors or any tool that you use, maybe the folding bone, and just make sure that the lower part is glued together, because that is the most important part of the infold. Ensure that they are well glued and they are not moving. Now I'm going to be using adhesive like I earlier said, and I'm going to be applying it to the overlapping joints, especially the one at the back, and then you join them together like this. Yes, so you form the permanent joint. Now you're going to use your hand to force the fold to follow the direction of the shape vertically, and then check the lower part again. I'm using a folding bone. You can use scissors, you can use your hand. Just ensure that none of those flips under is lifted. Then we also do the same thing for the outer part. Remember to make angle cuts along that vertical strip before you start joining. Remember to also add adhesive. All of those processes that I showed earlier, I'm going to skip them henceforth so that we can save time, because I believe you understand how it's done. So you realize why we have to work inside out now, because if we had done the outer one first, it would be difficult to put the inner one later. So just make this flip to follow the direction of the outline. Just force it to follow it. It will work out. Then ensure to leave an overlap when you get to where you started. Cut an overlap like you see me doing, and apply adhesive to that joint to make them stick together. Apply adhesive to the one inside and the one outside, both surfaces, but be careful to not allow it get beyond the joint so that it doesn't look like a stain on that part. We have to be meticulous when we're doing this. Right, join the parts together, then use your hand all around and ensure that the strip is following the shape and the outline that you have created with the number. Then use whatever tool you can, ensure that the surfaces are well joined together. None of those flaps should be lifting up. Alright, we have created the number 0 and look how it is. Let's now go on to number 3. I skipped the beginning of this because the process is basically the same. I just want you to get a glimpse of how I joined this particular part. That's why I included it in the video. You have to create joints because one single strip of the height will not be enough. So when you get to a place and you exhaust it, you have to create another joint and then continue with an overlap. When you get to sharp corners like you see in the video, you have to force the strip to follow it, not just horizontally but also vertically. You have to allow it to create that shape, so you use your hand to force it to do that. And then when you get to edges like where I'm at right now, you allow the base to follow the outline like I'm doing now. You have to force the base first, then you force the height to also follow through. Then you cut an overlap. When you get to the end, make sure it is an overlap like you see me doing, and then apply adhesive to the joints. So you see me forcing it vertically now. First I had to make it go through at the base, then when you are sure of the connection, you can now force it vertically to look like the outline of the base. Alright, having done that, now you use your folding bone or your scissors or your hand. Make sure that all the flaps along the base are well joined together. None of them should be lifting up. None of them should not be glued together with it. Right, now we have the number 3 readily formed, and the next thing we need to do now is to create a flip box that will form the outermost part of the number outline. Right, so the measurement of this flip box is something that we have done before. If you have watched the videos on how to make cake boxes using FBB, these are earlier lessons in this course, so I will not be explaining the process, but I'm going to leave you to just watch the video so that you can refresh your mind on how this particular card box is made. The only difference is that later towards the end we are going to be adding an acetate paper to form a see-through, which we have also discussed in courses earlier, especially on the course how to make a see-through flip box. You should see that course if you do not understand how the work is done here. Alright, having created the flip box, now we are going to insert the number template inside the flip box, and then we're going to apply adhesive to the base of it and attach it permanently to the base, after which we will now cut the see-through on the cover of the flip box. Okay, so we have gotten to the final stage where we will now cut the see-through. This that I'm holding in my hand is an A4 acetate paper, and I'm going to be using my ruler to find the offset of where I want to cut. I want it to be at least 1 inch away from the end of the acetate paper, so I'll be placing my ruler at edge and then marking outside the acetate paper where I have 1 inch. I have to do that for length and breadth in 2 places: the upper part like I've done, and the lower part like I'm doing rather. Next, we're going to now join those marks with the pencil, after which we are going to cut out the hollow space and then place the acetate paper using adhesive along its borders. Alright, now we are going to now cut out that outline, and we're going to apply adhesive along the borders of the outline we have cut. Applying adhesive should be light, and it should not be beyond the outline you have already marked with the pencil, so that it doesn't look like a stain. We want something that is close to perfect. After this is done, we're going to now place the acetate paper over that adhesive and stretch it so that there are no wrinkles on the surface. Force it to stretch, and then use scissors or folding bone over it to ensure that the joint is permanent and stiff. Right, having concluded that, I just want to adjust the corners of my flips cover so that it can be more workable. All the corners, especially the parts that are a little bit too big, right, shouldn't be that big. Now we're going to close it up and see how it looks like. Wow, so this is how this is our final result, and this is how it ought to be. Thank you for following this this video course up until the end. I hope that you learned something, and I hope that it adds to the work so far. Thank you. See you in the next video.